Nous sommes là face à un cas d'école.
The sum of the two is more than just 1 + 1. It's now equal to 3.
They may be in the future one of the best automotive companies in the world.
And I have not seen any other partnership that has lasted this long. So it's a very interesting, case study.
L'alliance est désormais scellée entre les constructeurs français et japonais, Renault et Nissan. Renault qui s'implante donc en Asie après la signature d'un accord ce matin à Tokyo.
I remember sitting in that hotel room when Carlos Ghosn announced it. And there were hundreds of people in that room. And I think that he was perhaps the only person in the room who believed it was going to work. I don't think anybody walked away thinking that this was going to be a long-lasting or great success. I think we all thought, culturally, how do you put a Japanese company together with a French company, especially a company in France that has a large government stake?
When you looked at the circumstances, the difficulties at Nissan, the fact that Renault was primarily a French company, not really a trans-European company, and with what was happening in the world, the importance of having a global network of distribution, global economies of scale, it made a great deal of sense.
The Renault-Nissan Alliance is quite unique across industries I've studied, because most companies come together in the form of merger acquisition. And what happens in a M&A, merger acquisition scenario, is that there's always one company which is in a dominant position and tries to impose its processes, its culture on the other company that is partnering with.
If you merge something, you will always have one loser. And if you have the loser, he has no characteristics, he has no personality. The big chance with that alliance is that Renault has its own personality and will continue with its own personality, and the same applies to the Nissan.
C'est win-win parce que chacun des partenaires contribue à la création de valeur et récupère une partie de la valeur créée.
Nissan is effectively a North American company, an Asian company, with a small operation in Europe. Renault is primarily European and Latin American, South America. So geographically, it worked very well. The cars complemented each other. The technologies complemented each other.
What we would use as a term here is called synergism. And synergism, we would say, is something like 1 + 1 = 3, not 2. And I think what we have seen in the Renault-Nissan Alliance is a high level of synergism.
Quand on sait que les achats représentent approximativement 80% du coût de production d'un véhicule et qu'ils peuvent mettre en commun l'essentiel de ces achats, eh bien on comprend toutes les économies qu'ils peuvent générer, ne serait-ce qu'à ce niveau de la chaîne de valeur. Et puis pour le reste, quand vous développez un véhicule en commun ou un moteur en commun ou une partie d'un véhicule en commun, bien évidemment, vous réalisez des économies d'échelle considérables.
2009, we moved into stage 2 so that there's now going to be a deeper connection at the operating levels of both companies, where there really will be integration, global purchasing, global IT systems, global engineering. Once you begin to make those kinds of ties, there's a phrase in the United States, then you can't unscramble the egg.
Well, the world has changed. And one of the critical issues today is that if you're going to play in a truly globalized world, you have to have economies of scale, and you have to be able to function across boundaries very effectively. You can't be just a European company or a Japanese company or a South American company. You have to have a global philosophy, and typically the people that can lead those companies effectively are people that have that kind of vision, but also the kind of multicultural skills that enables you to deal with very different cultures and focus those cultures on an objective. In this case, the objective was putting Renault and Nissan together as really a single entity that operated across the world with global economies of scale.
You know, no marriages are perfect all the time. But I think that if you step back and ask, would either of these companies be as financially stable as they are today, especially given what the world's gone through? The credit crisis in the United States, Japan, the tsunami and earthquake, and frankly, 10 years of stagnation, and now the economic crisis in Europe. Could either of them have endured this by themselves? I think the answer is no, they couldn't.
Nissan is one of the most advanced global companies in Japan. So therefore, without this strategic alliance, Nissan could not be this kind of global company.
And now the alliance is entering a phase where it's becoming more self-sustaining. That means that the culture of trust has been built. And once you have the culture of trust, that means that the DNA of the alliance is such that it's very resilient now.
I think it makes absolutely no sense to go back, and therefore the alliance is mandatory for Renault, and it's mandatory for Nissan.
Hopefully the alliance will not stop there. I think it will probably go one step further and aim for maybe number 2, if not number 1 slot, and it's achievable simply because I think that if you think carefully, it's very interesting because if you look ahead in the next 10 years, there are going to be 2 big markets that are going to be important. One is going to be the EV, electric vehicle market, clearly. The second one is going to be emerging markets.
They want to grow also in Russia, and also they want to grow in India. And so the global expansion might be achieved.
I don't think we have seen anything yet. I think the best part is yet to come.